Welcome to Envisioned Broadcasting Radio, your station for empowerment, music, and talk radio. EB Radio presents Empower Hour with Jaresha. A show that shares the stories behind the journeys of leaders, influencers, and motivators. The Empower Hour with Jaresha begins now.
Welcome, amazing people. Welcome to Empower Hour with Jaresha. I am your host, Jaresha Moore-Smith, and I am a best-selling author with over 18 years of combined experience in education, finance, healthcare, business management and development, and sales, CEO and founder of Empower on Purpose, LLC, where we provide leadership training and personal professional coaching and consulting services. Certified coach, speaker, and trainer with the John Maxwell team, and owner of Envisioned Broadcasting radio station. So I'm really excited about my special guest this evening. She is absolutely amazing and a mover and shaker in her community. But before I introduce her, I want to share today's empowerment quote that says, "You can, you should, and if you're brave enough to start, you will." This quote is absolutely fire, and I hope that it lights a fire within you to get up and make the move. You see, fear will have us shackled and scared to make any kind of movement. Fear will have you second-guessing yourself and second-guessing the greatness that I truly feel within you. Fear will have you thinking, I can't, I shouldn't, and I'm not smart enough to start, or I don't even know enough to start, or what if I start and fail? So I won't do it. Listen, let me tell you something, amazing people. You have what no one else has. You have the greatness that only you were given. You have the talents, the gifts, the skills that only you bring to the table. And guess what? Someone out there is waiting for your greatness. So while you're sitting around trying to talk yourself out of, being great, just remember that that girl, that boy, that man and woman is waiting to hear your story. They are waiting for you to share. They are waiting for you to share your greatness. They are waiting for you to start sharing your greatness with the world. And, if that means that you have to make that decision to start sharing your greatness, then you just have to make that decision. And you have to remember that that girl somewhere needs to hear or see you start sharing your greatness so that they can start sharing and creating their own greatness. You just never know. What if your greatness creates a movement of greatness among communities that helps that woman or man launch programs or services in their communities? You never know who you will impact, but you will impact no one if you don't make a decision to start. So you can, you should, and it's not if you are brave enough, because I believe that you are brave enough to start. Then you can say, I believe I could, so I did. So my special guest this evening, y'all, I am super excited to welcome my special guest, Serena Joyce White-Lake. Welcome to the show, Serena. How are you this evening?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm happy to be here. Shout out to my brother, James Francis White. I think he's listening, and to my mom, Beverly White. Melody, Wendy, Jasmine, Shaquana. Sorry.
Yes. Oh, no. And I love it. Yes, I love the shout-outs. We have to get those out the way. Absolutely. Because I am sure they are listening. So, yes, shout out to your family and your friends. Absolutely. But please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, great. And if my dad's watching, shout out to him and my cousin too, because I don't want them to feel left out. And you guys are not left out. You know, y'all are just as important. So in terms of who I am, I'm a born and raised in Queens, Hollis, Queens, New York. I went to Queens College undergrad, and after graduating from there, and I was very involved. I was an athlete. I was on the volleyball team. I was on the speech and debate team, and that's what inspired me to go into law. So I'm a lawyer by trade. After college, I worked for 3 years. I did some exciting things, and maybe that'll come out in the interview later. I'm also a professor at Albany Law School, an adjunct professor, let me say, and a realtor. And I'm involved in the community, particularly by being a member of the African American Cultural Center of the Capital Region and of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a Delta Mu Omega chapter in Albany, New York. And I love Albany, New York. So shout out to Albany, the state's capital. And I'm a Gemini, and I have a big personality, as you can tell. And that's me.
I love it. I love it. Can I just say that you are wearing so many hats, and I absolutely love it. So tell us, how in the world do you do all of those amazing things and wearing all of, those amazing hats? Like, how do you juggle all of that?
That's a good question. I compartmentalize and prioritize. And I'm very, very dependent upon my phone calendar. I love that because I feel like one of my friends, just someone I wasn't even that close to, just posted on Facebook that, hey, people say that they forget appointments, but you always have your phone on you, so just use your phone calendar. Duh. So then I was like, you know what? That's right. So I literally put everything into my calendar, and it's so helpful because I'll get alerts about like conference calls that I would have completely forgotten about were it not for that alert in my phone calendar. So I prioritize projects that have upcoming deadlines that I know have to be done first, and then a lot of the things I do are monthly. Some of them are a lot more are remote now, which helps. So it's just compartmentalizing and prioritizing, and then if I need a break, I take one. So I definitely do self-care. And another thing I do, that helps me balance everything is that if I'm able to do it, I do it. But if I'm not able to do it, I will express that I'm unable to take on that committee or that assignment right now. So I don't overload my plate. I don't spread myself too thin. I prioritize and compartmentalize.
Which is so important. My goodness, you just mentioned some amazing nuggets right there because it's so important. Yeah, I think we sleep on our phones, and I say that because, like you said, we have the phones with us everywhere we go, and it's just so much easier to put everything in your phone. Now, myself, I am a phone, so I'm very technology. And also I have a planner as well. So, but yeah, it's very important to keep track of all of that. And as you mentioned as well, is to be able to not overload ourselves. And so just having that time for, each of the different areas and the categories that we have in our life. And as you mentioned, self-care is extremely, extremely, extremely important. But I really want to dive into a little bit more as far as just some of the amazing work that you do. So what would you say has truly been your drive to work in, many of the different industries and areas that you work in?
Well, one of the most recent things that I've gotten into was becoming an adjunct professor at Albany Law School. It's always been a dream of mine to teach at the university level or below or above, and And the opportunity presented itself earlier than I thought it would. And so I really love what you said about overcoming fear and believing that you can achieve your goals, because someone asked me, there was a vacancy, a professor was needed to teach real estate transactions, and I was thinking, well, I don't know if I'm ready for it, and I was like procrastinating when it came time to apply for the position, and then I met someone who said, just do it, like, what are you waiting for? So I applied and I did it, and I had my first complete successful year last year, and they asked me to come back this year, so I'm excited about that. So what drove me in that respect was, for that situation, was that it's always been a dream of mine to teach at the law school level or the university level. And then when it came to real estate, where I do real estate closings, I had a judge who was a mentor, and he told me that I would be doing closings one day, and I just didn't know where to start. I didn't know where I was going to learn how to do it, but the opportunity again presented itself where someone needed an attorney to represent them in a closing transaction, and they were purchasing a home, and they asked me if I could do it, and I was bold, and I jumped into the deep end of the pool, and I did it. So just, accomplishing goals that I have is what really drives me to take on these different activities that I've been taking on. So
Absolutely. I think it's just simply amazing. And I'm happy that you mentioned, achieving goals, because, we, of course, have just rolled into 2021. And I think that, we all have some pretty big goals, or I like to think that we all are setting pretty big goals, considering the fact that we just came through 2020. So what is one of your biggest goals, I guess, that, you may have for 2021?
My biggest goal for 2021 is to purchase some investment property. That is my number one goal. I'd love another stream of income, because that creates security. I would love to be financially free, and it's very possible right now. Just so the people out there know that, due to, the current economic situation and the pandemic that the world is dealing with right now, one silver lining from that is that interest rates and APR rates for homes and mortgages is very, very low. So now is a very good time to buy real estate. Like right now is a great time to buy real estate if people are able to do that. So my goal is to get some investment property and work towards becoming financially free this year.
That is so good. That's so good. I love that. And I just want to kind of draw attention to it, because you said, that you really are speaking my language when you talk about multiple streams of income, because I think it's so important. We just wrote, again, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, but it's so important to have those multiple streams of income. And why not invest? Like you said, why not invest? Now, I'll tell you, for myself, I don't know very much about investing, but, why not? Why not invest? Why not open up the doors to, just the opportunities of, like you said, wanting to have that, that freedom, that financial freedom. And the way we do that is through those multiple streams of income. Absolutely. I absolutely love it, love it, love it. So I want to shift a little bit to talk more. We've talked about some goals and how, we definitely want to make sure we're achieving those goals and how we overcome our fears. And, we just need to step out and just do it. But when it comes down to purpose, okay, what do you think your greatest purpose is as an individual up to this point?
And it's funny, is I had a conversation with my husband about this. Shout out to Andre, by the way. I didn't give him a shout out earlier. So he and I were talking about this the other day, and then he told me that, because I said, I don't know, what's my passion, what's my purpose, and then he said, well, you look like you love helping people, and I was like, that's it. That is it. I love that. I feel like my purpose is to be a vessel and to help people achieve their goals in many different areas. Like, for example, I talked about real estate because I've been doing a lot of that. We just had a closing today. Amen. Praise Him. That was a hard situation, but we got through the fire and fury and made it to the closing table. And and yes, and so with real estate, okay, now I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought a little bit. Oh yeah, purpose. Okay, here we go. Purpose. So what I did was, I helped this person sell their home. And that goes to what I feel my purpose is to use my talents, my God-given, blessings and talents and the things that I've learned over the years to help people reach their goals. So today, the client's goal was to sell this house so that they could move out of the area so that they could be with their grandchildren to help their family and to have wealth to pass down to the next generation. And I'm just happy that I was able to play my role in accomplishing that goal because it took a lot. Let me tell you, it might be another conversation. I'll tell you how much I had to go through to get to this today, but I love helping people. So I feel like that's my purpose.
Yes, and I love it. I love hearing stories like that. I really do, because it's really something when you know that, what you're doing is making such a huge impact. And often we don't realize how much we impact others when we're living in our purpose and helping others, whether you're adding value, whatever it may be, but just being that person, that vessel that, you're being used to help someone, reach or live in their own purpose and live in their greatness. I absolutely love it, love it, love it. Absolutely love it. Yes, absolutely love it. So, of course, in life we strive for growth and success, and I would love it if you would share, with us what has been, what is your growth and success journey been like over the years, and, if you could share maybe some of the challenges that you've faced and all of that, because, of course, when we think about growth and success, it's not always, just roses and rainbows. Right. So we just, we have those challenges and those obstacles and those barriers and all of that get in the, get in the way that, are designed to really help us become stronger. So what has your growth and success journey been like over the years?
Right. So I can talk about, I've been at my current employer for 8 years, a little over 8 years now. But there was a rough patch around year 3 where I had a micromanaging, just terrible to work for supervisor who I dreaded having to work with. I'd come to work early and leave early so that I wouldn't have to interact with this person. But I was able to overcome that situation. And the way I did was, I went to other supervisors who I had a good relationship with and talked about the issues I was having with that particular supervisor. And then we were able to develop strategies in terms of how to improve that relationship. So, what I do now is if I'm emailing people, these are some of the strategies I use with dealing with this supervisor. I was always, very, very polite and saying, good morning, ask my question and just say, thank you, Serena, just trying to keep it as respectful and upbeat and polite as I could. And then I would also try to subtract my feelings from the work. So for example, if I'm a lawyer, so I write a lot, so I would submit certain reports, and then the report would come back with so many edits in red font. And a lot of the edits were not substantive. They were very much style issues, a lot of which were wrong. And then I said, rather than me take it personally that as an insult that this person is trying to talk badly about my writing, which I know is good because I've clerked at a court, I said, I'm not going to take it personally. I'm going to just accept these changes. I'm going to make the edits, and I'm going to do what I need to do to keep this project moving so we can get it done and move on to the next one. So with a lot of like divorcing my feelings from my task, you know, so that I could just get through it. And I was able to do that. And then I learned this particular supervisor's like writing style and what they were looking for. And I started to produce that. And then slowly but surely we were able to develop a workable relationship to the point where, you know, she threw my bridal shower. She's the person who organized my bridal shower at my job. Yes. Yes.
So I love it. So yes, that is so great. And so, again, I need to draw attention to some really important nuggets and insights that you shared that I don't want us to kind of move past it, you know, quickly, because I definitely think when it comes down to just our emotions and how we feel about stuff, you know, especially sometimes in the workplace, I think that we have a tendency, and not, let's just be clear, not even in the workplace, but just everywhere, we have a tendency to really take things personal when it comes down to things. And I definitely think that there are lessons that we can learn, and pulling out the emotion to learn those lessons and keep it moving. And I definitely think that was, you know, a very good example to where you were able to do that. And then, of course, being able to build that relationship and, you know, and continue that working relationship, I think is, you know, really, really important. And I also had to think, just to add another thing that really helped me at that moment, is I had to think about the big picture, right? Because there were certain times where, you know, I already revealed that it was a she, so I might as well just continue down that path where this supervisor, you know, sent an email to me and the entire team, and I didn't like the email, so I was going to reply all. I was going to send a very sharply worded reply all email. And just before I was about to hit send, I said, Serena, listen, you are in a position at your job where you're able to provide for yourself and help your family, help organizations, donate to church and all of this, and you plan to be working for this agency, you know, for a long time. So don't take that. In this moment, do something that will have like major consequences. I had to look years into the future and not hit send. And I said, you know what? I'm going to let this one go and not send the email. So I was happy I was able to do that. That's so good. And you know what? You don't even realize how many people you just helped right now, because, and I'm so serious, because I really feel like, I think that we all have been there to where there's something, some kind of situation, and maybe it's an email. We know how those emails come across with the tone, or maybe it's a text message as well, and how things come across, and you are just ready to just, you know, the emotions get the best of us, and we are ready to reply all. We are ready to just go in. And I think those are the times that we need to take, you know, I like to say take at least 5 minutes to vent, get our emotions out, how we feel, and then after that 5 minutes, let it go and move past it. And that's exactly what you did. Yes, looking at that big picture. Yes, because, you know, reality is the big picture. You know, being able to see that beyond how you're feeling is good. And I think that it's something that we have to continue to develop and grow as well. So that's good stuff. Good stuff. Absolutely. So, you know, I know that we've talked a little bit about you serving in the community. Tell us a little bit more about, you know, what you do for the community and why you think it's so important to be actively involved in the community.
Yeah, so a lot of the work that I do in the community involves like the local organizations. So I've done a lot of work with the African American Cultural Center of the Capital Region. One thing that we did, I think it was 2018, you know, and we like to educate people about African history and African heritage and raise people's feelings, our pride, raise the pride in our race, because a lot of times, the history books omit, the history of African people before enslavement, because our history does not begin with slavery, right? So we have a long, rich history of being scientists, mathematicians, artists, educators, et cetera, et cetera. So a couple of things that we did at the African American Cultural Center was, we did a whole exhibit called Dark is Beautiful, celebrating dark people and melanin and the beauty in our skin and hair texture and all of that. And it was well attended, and we had, we had a play, so it was really showcasing the art in the community and raising pride and love in our culture in the local community. Another thing that the Cultural Center, another great volunteer experience I want to talk about that I worked in is with an organization called Tinker and Fiddle. My friend is, she works in STEM at a top 200 company, and we went around and gave classes in how to coding classes to Black and brown children in the capital region to prepare them for all these technology jobs that are available. Like, there are so many like cybersecurity jobs and engineering jobs that a lot of, our children do not have access to, because if you go to, if you're starting in high school with science and math only then becoming an interest and only then becoming a strength, it could be difficult for those children to succeed in those science, technology, engineering, and math fields. So we really focused on giving free coding classes to mostly African American and Latino children, a lot from underprivileged areas, marginalized communities. And we did a great job. We did summer camp. We did after-school programs. And my cousin, Amir, he participated and did a great job in coding, and I hope he continues to do that and does the hard work that it takes to be successful in the STEM field. So those are two examples.
Absolutely, and those are amazing examples. I really love, for one, I definitely love the Dark is Beautiful. The whole movement, it's amazing. I think it's much needed. It's much needed. And also the coding classes. So that to me is really, it's pretty awesome, having kids myself and, and just really trying to understand from a technology standpoint myself, and how, when I look back on when I was a kid, those kind of classes and those programs were not available because, of course, that's not, technology wasn't even where it was, now and then. But I think that those programs for the community are they're much needed. They're so amazing. And as you mentioned, I truly hope that, that they continue to have those summer camps, those after, school programs and all of that, because our kids they're hungry for it. They are definitely hungry for it. They are, a totally different generation, these technology babies. They are hungry for all of coding and technology and all of that. So I say more power to them, to who is going to teach those classes and all of that, because it's much needed. And I mean, frankly, we can probably, as adults, stand to learn some of that as well. So absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Simply amazing. Simply amazing. So I would love to know what you feel truly makes you feel inspired and feel like you're being your best self.
Well, I get inspiration from like watching great people in some films and all of that. So, for example, watching the movie Hidden Figures was it was so inspirational to me, because I took for granted being in the office and just going up and making a cup of coffee or just going to the bathroom, but seeing that these Black women who were computers before you had actual computers, which I wasn't aware of prior to the movie, that they had to walk a mile to use the colored only bathroom, or that they couldn't just get up and go to the lunchroom and make a cup of coffee, that as I was taking advantage of doing. And what was also very inspiring to me was that one of the characters, she went to the library and got a book and taught herself the computer language. I don't remember if it's Fortran. I can't remember the name of the language, but she was able to teach herself from a textbook. So after watching that movie, I said, I'm filing my own taxes, okay? I'm not paying somebody to do my taxes anymore. And I've been doing my taxes ever since, because I was like, if she can teach herself a whole computer language from a textbook, I can use freetaxusa.com. You know what I mean? So,
that's right. I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was inspiring. And then anytime I need inspiration, there are certain people that I watch. I watch Oprah. Oh my gosh, she's so inspirational. Barack Obama. Just it's so many different people. And then Kamala Harris, of course. It's just the list goes on and on and on. And then I love watching TED Talks too, because they show influencers and leaders from around the world who don't have these internationally recognized names, but they've really impacted people. And then I also get very inspired by people like you, like hearing in your intro all of the things you've done in terms of being like a best-selling author and having your own show and LLC while having children. To me, that's huge. That's hugely inspirational. I do want to, get into writing and stuff like that. And so I really like your message about, just overcoming fear and just doing it. And when I see other people like you who have done it, especially Black women, because I'm a Black woman, a couple of my friends who are listening now are excelling in their careers. And it really pushes me, like Black Girl Magic, like that pushes me. I'm just going to go ahead and claim it.
That's right. I love it. Let's say it again, and let's just speak of Black Girl Magic, because
Black Girl Magic.
Yes. From you mentioning the Hidden Figures and from Oprah, there is just, to me, it's just, I think it's really coming. I definitely think that we have not seen. There's still so much more to come from so many of our Black girls and Black women, and I just like you, are in awe and feel inspired and empowered to just support everyone on that journey. And yes, love the TED Talks as well. You share a lot of great, inspirational, tips that people can definitely, tune in to, to tap into, to get motivated, to get inspired. Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. So what would you say is one piece of advice that you would give to the listeners on how they can empower their own growth and success journey?
A couple of things. One is that realizing that, we speak to ourselves more than anyone does. We're in our own head. So you want to be kind to yourself and speak power to yourself and positivity. So rather than saying, I can't do it, or I'm so forgetful, or I messed up, say, you can do it. Tomorrow is another day. The grace of God will help you. Whatever you need to say to motivate yourself, I say do that. The words are powerful, the mind is powerful, so believe in yourself and speak kindly to yourself. And then if you're thinking of something negative, to replace that thought with something positive. So, like for example, if I'm nervous about being late somewhere, I say to myself, not only am I going to be on time, but I'm going to arrive early, and have that in my head, and then that's very powerful. Another thing that I do is, that I would suggest people do, is that if they're working on a project, because we're in this age of, constantly responding to messages and beeps and tones and computers and phones and all of that, sometimes it's hard to just have like focused periods of concentration on a task without stopping to answer an email or a text. So, or Googling, what's the weather going to be tomorrow? Like just random things that we're Googling. And what's Kevin Hart's net worth anyway? Like random thoughts will just pop into my head as I'm doing work. So what I do is I keep a memo pad And if that happens, I'll just jot down, whatever thoughts in my head. And I'm like, when I finish writing, then I can look these things up. And then oftentimes when I get past writing, for example, the analysis part of a report, and I can look up the random thoughts that popped into my head, and I'll be like, you know what? I don't really care what Kevin Hart's net worth is because he's not giving me any money, so it doesn't really help me, and I'll just move on. Or sometimes I will say, well, what's the top album in the country, for whatever reason. So I think jotting down the random thoughts that will inevitably come in your mind as you're trying to focus on whatever project or whatever book or whatever meditation you're trying to do, I think that helps keep the person on track so that they can achieve the goal of working nonstop for that time period to complete whatever it is that they want to do.
Absolutely. That is so amazing. I love it. I was like, when you said, we need to speak power, thoughts and speak power, to ourselves, because you are so right when you say that I think, and all of us, do this to where, as soon as we have that, something may come up and we have that negative thought, and all of a sudden have that negative self-talk and, self-doubt and all of that comes in, and it's immediately changing that negative thought with something positive. That is so good. That is so good. And we don't realize, I think, how difficult it is until you find yourself doing it, and then you catch yourself. And if you make a habit of just changing it, then, like you said, you'll be well on your way. Yes. And jotting down, I love that too, jotting down those random thoughts, because, we all have them throughout the day when we're, working and focused, and then all of a sudden here comes that random thought, and we think we need to hop on our phones or hop on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it may be, Google, to look up stuff, and then time passed, and then you have officially been distracted, away from what you should be focused on. So that's really good. That's a really good tip and really great advice for those listeners to, have a notepad to write down those things, because every 5 minutes.
Every 5 minutes that I'm sorry, I just wanted to say, like, every time, like, you take 5 minutes, like, oh, it's only going to take 5 minutes. Every time you, like, get up for 5 minutes to do something, it turns into, like, 25 minutes.
Yes. Oh, yes, it does. And, let me tell you, one of the things that has helped me is a timer when it comes down to things. So I will use a timer that I got from Amazon. Literally, I will set a timer so when, because I am huge on affirmations and just having my morning routine and all of that in the morning. I literally have things blocked out by time, set that time for my brain dump. And when the timer goes off, okay, that's it. That, you got to move on to the next thing.
Nice.
And so
I like that
helps me. Yes, that helps me. But absolutely. So this has been so amazing. You are so amazing, and have provided the listeners with so many amazing insights and nuggets. I would love if can you share how we can, stay connected to you, and so any kind of social media handles and, support your efforts.
Yes, so I would say in terms of social media, LinkedIn has the same name that's on this program flyer, Serena Joyce White-Lake at LinkedIn.com or on the LinkedIn website. And you can, I accept messages and all of that. So I think LinkedIn is going to be the best way to reach me.
Awesome. Well, I thank you so much for being a guest on the Empower Hour with Jaresha show. It's been amazing. Yes. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you for having me. This has been really, really fun, and I've learned a lot from you too. I'm over here jotting down my notes too, so thank you.
You're so welcome. Yes, we are empowered and ready. So thank you so much for tuning into tonight's show. If you are interested in starting your own show or being a guest on the show to share your amazing story and journey to equip, encourage, and empower others for growth and success, please email envisionedb@empoweronpurpose.com. Please tune in next week where you will hear an amazing story and journey from another leader, influencer, and motivator. Until next time, stay safe and be blessed.
Thank you for listening to the Empower Hour with Jaresha, where Jaresha speaks with leaders, influencers, and motivators who share their journey in personal and professional growth, empowerment tips, lessons learned, and keys of success that will empower you to your best self. Follow Jaresha on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jaresha Moore, and visit www.empoweronpurpose.com. Remember to be intentional and be empowered, and have a great day on purpose.